Hello from Bali. This is a podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss some skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about archaeology and let's start with the definition.
When we will see for our past, we will find that we have like 99% of it completely lost. And the reason is we have a very short period of written history. And before this time, it could be just discovered by archaeology. And there is a saying which I like a lot, but not all archaeologists will like it as me. There is a saying, something like this: the garbage bin is the place is loved or beloved by archaeologists. Why it is so? Because it is quite rare that you will find, for example, the whole vase, or you will find like some instrument of farmery. But if there is some place like a garbage place, how to say мусорка? Такая гора мусора.
Pile of trash.
Yes, but if you will find pile of trash, you will find a lot of different pieces of plates, of vases, of wheels, and something like ropes. And yes, all of this would be broken, but it's quite enough. You would not use this vase. You would not use this, for example, amphor with wine, but you should understand how it was created, what is material, and how it was proceed, and how it was processed, and so on. So archaeology is about how to dig a pile of trash.
And maybe a slightly unusual question for this part. And when we, let's say we have a different parts, we may know to, like have a distant idea about their history. But I do believe archaeology is also about maybe a little pinch of imagination, because, like some of the things you need to come up with, you need to, like maybe build a model, or maybe you need to make an assumption, or maybe you need to, like use another part of the archaeology and other parts in order to build this picture. So how to deal with the some sort of like unknown things in order to build a picture?
Let's step out from field of archaeology and let's talk about small piece of paleontology. Paleontology is not about archaeology. Usually this is about how to discover people history. But when we talk about some dinosaurs on other extinguished animals, that's about paleontology. And for example, you will find some bones and you should understand how they will be connected. Several years ago, I was reading a book about, I don't know how to say, reconstruction of the bones for extinguished creatures. And it was like very funny pictures. For example, 200 years ago, these bones were collected in an animal, and it was like imagination how it was look like. After, for example, 100 years, it was another attempt to make portrait of this animal, and after, for example, 100 years more, it will be another, and you will see the same bones, but three different skeletons which are assembled from them, and then you will see three pictures how it could like, and those three animals completely will differ. The same would be with person. For example, we will look for small piece of, I don't know, ceramics, if there is a word. Ceramic, and we will look at this, but who knows what it was? It could be night vase, it could be vase for flowers, it could be I don't know, something to be used for animals, like for pigs and for some other stuff. And you should understand how it was working. And sometimes after 1, 2, 3 years, different people will give another exemptions. And there is also a big jealousy between archaeologists, because, for example, you found a lot of small pieces of pottery, and you will make photo, you will write a special article in a scientific magazine, and then when I am sitting in some cabinet on the furnished table, I will look at this and I will give another example, and my example will be more successful. So you have done like 99% of the work, and I just make one guess, and I have all victory in my hands.
So let's actually move from the rooms of the jealous and competitive archaeologists who just, like trying to find a good place to dig to maybe a business area. There was one good advice that you gave in our podcast, like when you go to a new city, just, like try to go to museums, try to figure out the history, like how you can use it. So maybe from the business point of view, or like this aspect, how you could use the archaeology for the troubleshooting craft.
Several times I have been to Turkey, I have been to different territories, and I found that on some places there is a mosaic, like floor mosaic and something like this, and people just walking around and they just used to it. And I was making photo and I make calls to my friends in different countries, in Italy, in France, and so on, and suddenly they will come and the site would be closed because they will discover this is Roman mosaic, and it was like 2,300 years old. And the same was, for example, in Peru. There is a desert. Is okay? Desert. I miss it out all the time. Thank you. Desert. And there is a lot of geoglyphs, huge pictures which made on the dry ground, and almost yearly it will be found several new one because it would be a bit discovered from the sand or from the dust or something like this. So if you are familiar with archaeology, sometimes you will see a real meaning of the things. For example, several times I have been to museum and I was saying, do you know what is this? This is a much more expensive piece that you're trying to show. You should not show it for the public. You should make copy because it's a very expensive one. And sometimes people will say, are you a specialist? And I am saying, yes, I'm specialist. And they making call and they will give me gratitude. Okay, you have granted access for 10 years in our museum because your suggestion was so right. And my wife and my other people who know me, they always saying, why are you always trying to keep your nose in those things? You should be just going out. And I'm saying, yes, but if someone wants to be in this museum, I will make a call to director and you will be proceed all the exhibition with a great flavor.
Well, sometimes I do believe it's good to wear the hat of archaeologist. And maybe might be another side when I recall this movie called Bluff with Adriano Celentano, where they actually pretended to be the one and they just, made some items old and they pretended to show them and hope that it will attract the interest so that they can oversell it. So sometimes I do believe, especially nowadays, the technology actually would allow to fake some of the items. So how to deal with this? Because at a certain point of time, we might be invaded with a world which will be full of dinosaur, bones, or maybe we also will find some unusual creatures, which in fact will be just some sort of fakes made of the plastic or anything like that.
Yes, correct. I have been to Los Angeles, and it was on the street of the Fame, Boulevard Slavy, Street of the Fame. Yes.
Street of the Fame, I think.
It was quite close to Kodak Theater, where Oscar ceremony would be provided each year, and there is possibility to visit 3 museums, and one of them would be called like Believe It or Not. And in this museum, you will find a lot of different stuff, and you should make your own opinion. Is it real or not? For example, you will see there a small mermaid. Is it okay to say mermaid?
Yes, mermaid.
Mermaid. And I was with a friend of mine who lives already in USA for a long time, and he have been to this museum for several times, and he explained me without the guide that this was partly made upper part was made from small monkey and lower part was made from a big fish, and then it was sewed to make a vision like a mermaid. And when I was looking at this, I even couldn't understand if people would believe that this is just one creature. It was so well cutted, so badly cutted, so it couldn't be true. It's obvious, but a lot of people were saying, yes, it's true. We believe this is a mermaid. So the same would be with archaeologists. I have been to Crimea Peninsula, and they were digging of the Hersanes very ancient city. And for example, my team, we were discovering some small pieces of silver with age a bit younger than Christmas death. Not чуть-чуть старше, чем смерть Христа. How to say it? A bit?
Slightly older than Christ's death, the date of the Christ's death.
Thank you. Slightly older than the Christ test. And when we dig it out, it was looking like, I don't know how to say, свинец plumbum.
Plumbum, but like in Latin, which is right.
It was looking like a plumbum, and we were not thinking this is about silver. But suddenly we get a bonus from the digging company. You find a very, very important pieces of the silver, and then they were showing in some museums. And I was thinking, okay, but how could I explain, and how could I know, and how could I guess, is it real or not? Is it worth to show to someone, or I should throw it to the garbage? And then I was reading some books, and I found, for example, I don't know how to say, but there is a special mineral. The name in Russian would be like iron колчедан, железный колчедан, I don't know. The second name would be fool's gold, золото дураков.
Well, probably this also might be the name, some similar name in English.
When you will see it, it seems to be gold, but in reality, it's a very hard one. And if you are archaeologist with a small stage experience, you will very fast understand this is not worth to show. But sometimes you will see some small part of, or small pieces of, I don't know how to say, глиняные.
Pottery made of mud.
Okay, maybe, and suddenly you will see the Varanian prof, and his hands would be shaking because it's something very, very unusual and very old one and very fascinating one. So no one knows. Sometimes you will see the piece of wood and you will think, oh, it's just normal wood, and some people will say, come on, this is part of the Scandinavian ship.
So when we see all of these pieces of clay or like maybe materials or anything like that, how do we know that using archaeology would help to make this world a better place?
As we told before at the start of our video, we have a very short period of written history, so we will never know about another periods because of wars, because of big fires, пожары.
Fires.
Big fires, flood, наводнение, floods, and also wars. But even after wars, even after floods, even after fires, there would be some small part of something. And for example, it would be, I don't know how to say, наконечники стрел.
Arrow spike.
Arrow spikes, and shields, and swords, and so on. I have been on digging for several times, and last one was unsuccessful one. We found a lot of very rusty sabля, I don't know how to say, like
saber.
Very rusty saber, and all museums were refused to take it with us, and it was the reason why we finished this digging. But we were as students, and we want to earn some money, but this was worth nothing. But some people will take it, and they will put them in private galleries. And when I was given some of this part to one person, he suddenly say to me, okay, invite your guys, and after 2 months I will give you beer, I will give you some snacks, and I will make show of my exhibition. And I was looking at those rusty sabers, and I was thinking how he could make any shows. But okay, we were students, and to have free beer and to have free snacks, it was quite promising. And when we came, suddenly we found it's quite a big house with several floors, and 2 floors, second and third, they were accommodated for this находки, findings. And there were special lights and also special signs with small written words, what is this, and so on. And suddenly, when we saw the same pieces as we gave to this person, we were listening a very inspired speech of him about history. And, you know, suddenly I found that I remember a lot of his explanation more than on my history lessons, because he was so breathing of the history. So same pieces, but another attitude. So archaeology is not about findings, it's also about attitudes. If you have the right attitudes, you could create a better world.
Sometimes things they could tell a wonderful stories, especially ancient ones, and we review the skill of archaeology and how it could be helpful for you. Stay in peace.